Few figures in the history of aviation have inspired as much fascination, admiration, and speculation as Amelia Earhart. A fearless trailblazer, she was not only a record-setting aviator, but also a cultural icon who challenged societal expectations and broke new ground for women in flight. Although her life was cut short under mysterious circumstances, her legacy continues to soar, captivating generations and fueling curiosity nearly a century later. Amelia's early life and inspiration. Amelia Mary Earhart was born in Atchison, Kansas in 1897. From an early age, she exhibited a curious spirit and a desire to break away from traditional roles. Unlike many young girls of her time, she preferred climbing trees to playing with dolls and kept a scrapbook of newspaper clippings about successful women in male-dominated fields. These early signs hinted at the path she would eventually carve out for herself. Her first encounter with an airplane didn't immediately ignite a passion. In fact, she found it underwhelming. But that changed dramatically in 1920 when she attended an air show in Long Beach, California, and took a 10-minute flight that would alter the course of her life. From that moment on, she was determined to become a pilot. Despite facing financial and societal barriers, Earhart managed to scrape together the money for flying lessons. Under the guidance of female aviator Anita Netta Snook, she began training and soon bought her first plane, a bright yellow Kinner Airster she affectionately called the Canary. By 1923, she became the 16th woman in the United States to earn a pilot's license, breaking records in the sky. Throughout the 1920s and 1930s, Earhart shattered aviation records and defied expectations. In 1928, she achieved international fame as the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean, although she made the journey as a passenger, not a pilot. That distinction belonged to pilot Wilmer Stultz, but Earhart's involvement still catapulted her into the limelight. The press dubbed her Lady Lindy, comparing her to Charles Lindbergh, who had famously crossed the Atlantic solo the year before. Earhart was determined not to remain a mere passenger. In 1932, she became the first woman, and only the second person ever to fly solo nonstop across the Atlantic, this time from Newfoundland to Ireland. Battling strong winds, ice, and mechanical problems, she landed in a pasture in Northern Ireland after more than 14 hours in the air. This daring feat won her the Distinguished Flying Cross awarded by Congress and cemented her place as a true aviation pioneer. But Earhart's ambitions didn't stop there. Over the next few years, she set several more records, including becoming the first person to fly solo from Honolulu to California and from Los Angeles to Mexico City. These milestones were all part of a greater mission, to show that aviation was not just a man's domain, and that women could and should be part of the future of flight. The 1937 World Flight. By the mid-1930s, Earhart was a household name. She used her fame to promote aviation, encourage women's rights, and advocate for commercial air travel. But she longed for a final historic challenge, to circumnavigate the globe by airplane. This wouldn't be the first attempt at such a flight, but Earhart aimed to do it along the equator, a longer and more dangerous route than any taken before. In March 1937, her initial attempt was cut short after her Lockheed Electra suffered damage during takeoff from Hawaii. After repairs and regrouping, she tried again in June of the same year. This time, Earhart and her navigator, Fred Newman, departed Oakland, California on June 1, 1937. The pair embarked on a 29,000-mile journey around the world, flying eastward with numerous stops along the way, including South America, Africa, India, and Southeast Asia. By late June, they had successfully flown more than 22,000 miles and arrived in New Guinea with only 7,000 miles to go. The next leg of the journey would prove to be the most challenging. A 2,500-mile flight over the Pacific Ocean to a tiny flat coral atoll called Howland Island. This was a critical refueling stop and required pinpoint precision, as the island was only about 1.5 miles long and half a mile wide, a speck in the vast blue sea. The fateful flight to Howland Island. On July 2, 1937, Earhart and Noonan took off from Leh in their twin-engine Lockheed Electra. Weather conditions were less than ideal, with overcast skies and scattered thunderstorms. Communication with the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca, stationed near Howland Island to assist with navigation, was patchy at best. Despite their use of radio signals, confusion arose over frequencies and timing. The plane's messages became increasingly desperate, indicating they were low on fuel and unable to find the island. The final confirmed transmission from Earhart was heard at 8:43 a.m. We are on the line 157-337. We will repeat this message on 6210 kilocycles. Wait, then nothing. The plane never arrived at Howland, and no further messages were received. An unprecedented search effort followed. The U.S. Navy and Coast Guard combed 250,000 square miles of ocean over the course of 2 weeks, deploying ships, planes, and resources in the most extensive air and sea search in American history of the time. But no sign of Earhart Newman or their aircraft was ever found. In 1939, Earhart was officially declared legally dead. Theories, rumors, and speculations. What really happened? The disappearance of Amelia Earhart has become one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century, giving rise to numerous theories, some plausible, others wildly speculative. The most widely accepted explanation is the simplest. Earhart ran out of fuel and crashed into the Pacific Ocean near Howland Island. The vastness of the ocean and the limitations of 1930s search technology meant the wreckage could have easily sunk without a trace. However, many researchers have proposed alternate scenarios. One of the most enduring alternative theories suggests that Earhart and Noonan made an emergency landing on Nikumaroro, a remote, uninhabited island located about 350 miles southeast of Howland. This theory gained traction after artifacts such as a woman's shoe, a sextant box, and pieces of an aircraft were found on the island, as well as skeletal remains that may have belonged to a Caucasian female. The Nikumaroro theory has been supported by the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, which has conducted multiple expeditions to the island. While they have uncovered suggestive evidence, nothing conclusively proving Earhart's presence has been discovered. Other, more controversial theories propose that Earhart was captured by the Japanese while flying over Japanese-controlled territory and was either executed or died in captivity. Some even claim she assumed a false identity and lived out her life in secret. Though intriguing, these scenarios lack verifiable evidence and are considered unlikely by most historians. A legacy that transcends mystery. Although the truth of what happened to Amelia Earhart may never be known, her enduring impact on aviation and women's history is undeniable. She broke barriers not just in the sky but also on the ground, challenging gender norms, advocating for equal opportunities, and opening the door for future generations of female pilots and adventurers. Her accomplishments were extraordinary even by today's standards. She helped establish the 99s, an international organization of women pilots that continues to support and mentor female aviators worldwide. She was also a faculty member at Purdue University, advising on aeronautics and encouraging young women to enter scientific and technical fields. Amelia Earhart remains an indelible symbol of courage, determination, and possibility. Statues, schools, airports, and even scholarships have been named in her honor. Movies, documentaries, and books continue to explore her life and legacy, ensuring that she will not be forgotten. If you enjoyed diving into the mystery of Amelia Earhart, give this video a big thumbs up. Got your own theory? Drop it in the comments. We love a good mystery. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss an adventure in history. We've got more legends, disappearances, and daring tales coming your way. Until next time, keep your curiosity flying high.